Hello, I'm Mickey, and this is Inglorious Reviews. This is a Flash episode, Season 1, I think 14 it is. So this week we have not so much a huge episode, but a lot of stuff to see in the next few episodes. I think this episode is pretty good for the most part. So we see, first of all, I think the centering around Ronnie and Professor Stein. We have them, split off, get together again. So they finally figured that out, which is nice. So that was good. The way they did it, a nice kind of fusion thing. Let's see what else we have to touch on. That was quite interesting. Kind of a morph thing instead of, but they're still not showing the head. That's usual. But they finally kind of like the body slash what do you want to call it? You know, not so much the seeing head, but the voice inside Ronnie's head, which is good. um. And we see that talking about all that stuff, and we see General Elling. He's still after the superheroes, and for some reason, he seems to have a lot more tech than he should for going after these people. He has the kinetic needles, and then he has the ion destroyer. So, which is great. So he's not as stupid as he looks, but he's really just a pain. And it seems like he's got to be working with somebody. Somebody either like Wells, which would be crazy. I don't think that would actually happen. That was a huge tangent right there. So we have some other things. We finally see Ronnie go. Caitlin's over Ronnie, which is nice. Maybe Barry and Caitlin will get together. For the main things in this, got my handy dandy note card here. I think most of the things we see here, some very much they finally bring in the time travel. And they allude to the Speed Force when Dr. Stein talks about breaking a hole through time-space continuum. Which I think is a really good thing so far. Because they need to do that for Barry Allen to fully realize his power. If they don't, Barry Allen's just a guy who just runs around and just fights criminals with the help of Star Labs. He'll finally, get to understand his powers, for sure. And I'm just going to go off another tangent here. That kinetic needle thing, that was ingenious. And the fact that it's there, you'd think other people have it. So you think Barry would be like, see, Barry, because he doesn't understand his powers fully yet, he can't be like, burst of kinetic energy over there, drag the needles away. But again, it's still season 1, so I don't gotta worry about that too much. But really, in this one, I mean, we have the alluding to the Speed Force, which is, breaks this time travel, space-time continuum, as Stein puts it. And we have the alluding to Flashpoint. Which, I mean, they're not going to call it Flashpoint, but that's what it is. The alternate universe where future Barry Allen goes back in time, tries to save his mother, but figures out the last second, oh, that's a bad idea. I'm not going to, do that. And then we have, he says, hey, look, I'm going to use the other tuner, which I think is really good too. I mean, it's not what I like them to do, but again, he's using that. He can see people. But I don't think the mirror, I'm not seeing that whole thing. I don't think the mirror is going to truly show all that. Like, can you really see everything off the mirror? Like, I know they got some tech, but can you really see off what's going off the mirror? Like, everything, the mother's image, the two people? I don't think so. And how did the forensic people in the beginning miss that blood spot before? They must have been blind. They had to be. Or they just assumed it was Barry Allen's or their mother's. Why would they do that? It kind of leaves like, maybe somebody knew. Whoever was on the police force, maybe. So we have that open. This episode, for me, very much, not so much General Elling, because I think General Elling is just a pinhead. I just don't like him. He's just an annoying character for me that just like kind of makes. I mean, he's not annoying in the sense that he truly shows like the government wants to take over your powers and take what you have for their own advantage and weapons, which is fully true. I mean, if you build anything that's cool or tech, the government's going to come in and be like, we're taking that and you can't have it. Anybody who builds, those free energy people or anything along the lines of something that's batteries that one charge lasts 24 hours or mini or anything that's amazing, always goes to the military first and we get it second, which should be the other way around. We should always get it first and the military gets very limited, I hope. Especially things like, say, a Firestorm Matrix. I mean, if you could, this is going to be slight up. The Firestorm Matrix, which they allude to, is basically two people. And Ronnie is, in the comics, also the most stable form of the Firestorm Matrix. There's two other guys, but they're not as stable. So maybe I think it'd be more interesting if the Firestorm Matrix could be like applied to actual physical things, like two objects and you just throw them like a homemade grenade. But I mean that's kind of pointless now that I think about it. Let's see. So we have that, but this episode, my main thing here is that General Ellen finally figured out who Barry Allen, but Harrison Wells. You see it if you had, if at all any of you have you been skeptical of Harrison Wells not being a Reverse Flash? Here's the kicker in this episode. He shows himself off as the Reverse Flash. Now, people, and then Alex's all like crap. You want to, but for many people, this I think is gonna be a huge switch, which I think they're gonna use to their advantage because there are multiple Reverse Flashes in the DC Flash universe. This is what they're gonna use as the big twist. Because I will continue to believe that Dr. Wells is actually Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash, who actually admires Barry Allen, the Flash. And he does all he can do to help the Flash become a better Flash. But then people say, oh, look, we saw, another Reverse Flash of the same suit. Well, it's because they use the same suit and they're different generations. So what this is my thinking here. They're going to use Professor Zoom, Harrison Wells, Reverse Flash. He's going to tell Barry Allen, I think. But he's going to get caught in the fray. Because I think the other Reverse Flash is Hunter Zolomon, who tried to kill Barry Allen's wife. Barry Allen's wife. Barry Allen's mother. So what we have, here's a setup. Hunter Zolomon, the Reverse Flash, despises the Flash. Goes back in time to kill Barry Allen's mother. He succeeds. Jump to Flashpoint is where Barry Allen says, hey, I'm going to go back in time and save my mother. He goes back in time, fights Hunter Zolomon, Reverse Flash, fails because then he realizes during the fight that if he does this, he will no longer be the Flash. So unlike the episode today where he says, oh, I failed and I basically failed saving somebody, he doesn't realize that by saving his mother, the Flash would never exist in the first place. So we have that. So we have this. When are they going to reveal that Harrison Wells is Reverse Flash, Professor Zoom, but not get him confused with the other Reverse Flash? What I'd like to see is Barry Allen, the Flash, Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash, and Hunter Zolomon or Eddie Fane, whatever Reverse Flash you want to use. I mean, I've been using Hunter Zolomon because this is what's come to mind, but you could use also Eddie Thawne for the 25th century. Those three in a basically in a battle royale, or a 2-on-1, and that would be quite an exciting scene. Past the superhumans, their Flash family. Another great thing which I alluded to in a couple episodes before, or a couple of review episodes before, was Gorilla Grodd. Finally get to see him. He's been alluded to multiple times, and in this we see that Elling, all of the eggheads, besides him and the Pied Piper, knew about General Grodd. General Grodd is still in contact with Orson Welles now, and this is the thing that we're going to see Gorilla Grodd show up. I guarantee you, next episode or two. But here's the other thing: Harrison Wells, and I think they're doing this very well in the episodes, is that they're showing that Harrison Wells is not truly who he is. Even if you don't know the comics of him being Professor Zoom and, playing, being a suspicious character, he is a suspicious character for many people in this episode. And we see this. I mean, he basically saves his own hide by giving up Stein and then letting the Flash and Ronnie go in there to save him so he doesn't look suspicious. He reveals himself to General Elling and gives up Elling to Gorilla Grodd. So we see Professor Zoom, which he is, I think, hopefully I'm not wrong, that Harrison Wells is playing this game. He's not on anybody's side. I assume he's on Barry Allen's side only. But he does have the ulterior motive of saving Allen at all costs. And that's why I think he's doing everything in his power, even if it goes after, even if it sacrifices or puts certain people in danger. So what we're going to see, I think, is we're going to see a position where Harrison Wells has to show who he is. Because if he doesn't, people are going to, I mean, you have, Detective West already suspicious. Cisco, I don't think so. Barry Allen nobody's truly suspicious, except for Iris West now and Detective West. Iris she's going to become a pain, I think. But they're using this angle that she, is investigating, so which is okay. But she's still lacking whatever, I'd really like her to be already enveloped into the Flash family, which would be preferable. Maybe actually doing something. I mean, I don't know if this is her job. We never figured out what she was doing for school. We know she's a reporter basically now. So, well, she's going to become a snooper. So they truly haven't done anything with her character, unlike the other ones. I mean, we see General Elling kind of in and out. Now he's dead, hopefully. Harrison Wells has progressed quite well into the stand-up father figure, the second father figure for Bear, into this suspicious but very interesting character, very genius man. We have Caitlin has progressed, from becoming kind of a quiet to a full-fledged, I know what's going on type thing. Cisco has gotten in and out of things. And we have, all the other characters doing well. So I'm hoping they they're using this, getting answers at Star Labs. She doesn't become a damsel in distress, but they actually develop her into the Flash family eventually, which would be nice. Kind of like Linda Park is. And I wonder where she went in this episode. We didn't see her. So hopefully she'll be back. But yeah, this episode is more, I think, of seeing what's to come. We will see the Reverse Flash, whether a battle or a revelation. We see Gorilla Grodd. We see the Reverse Flash. Something's got to show. Harrison Wells got to tell people, or we're going to have another encounter with Reverse Flash who is either Zolman or Edward Thawne from 25th Century. Oh, and we'll have somebody else come by. So, that's it for this. There's some things that are a bit annoying, but that's the show. You can't do too much about it. But, yeah. So, if you have any questions, comments, anything we can improve on, or if anything I missed, maybe that might be a good idea. Yep. So I will see you all next week when we see the next Flash episode. And don't forget to check out Becky's The Arrow episodes on Wednesdays. I'll see you all later.